Ecclesiastes 11:6 says, sow your seed in the morning and do not be idle with your hands in the evening. For you do not know whether morning or evening planting will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both alike will be good. Thinking about sowing seed and sowing seed aren't the same thing. Well, I thought about it. Well, good. I'm glad that you thought about it, but it's not the same thing. Like doing good for your neighbor is not the same thing as thinking about doing good for your neighbor. Like, are y'all with me? Bringing your neighbor cookies is better than thinking about bringing your neighbor cookies. And if I'm your neighbor, it's really good. Amen? Two of the greatest hindrances to your future harvest. First thing is, people don't know what they want most in their futures. This is a hindrance to your harvest. Again, think about the farmer who looks at the field and thinks, what do I want to see in my future harvest? And that's what I'm going to sow today. And let me just say this, that if you don't know what you want, stop complaining about what you're getting. Why? Because we have to understand that we have seed. God gives us seed to sow. And what I decide to do with that seed makes all the difference. And if I don't make up my mind what I want to see in my future, I'm not going to complain about what I'm getting in my today. Like, you can always change what you're sowing. All you have to do is make a decision. What do I want to see in my future? And I change the seed that I'm sowing. So many people look at other people's harvest and say, I want that. Ooh, I want that. I like that. Like we're on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, whatever it is, and you're looking at their life or you drive by their business and you go, ooh, I want that. But here's the thing, that until you're willing to do what they did, you're not going to get what they got. Like you think, oh, well, all I have to do is think good thoughts and then that's going to come into my life. No, sometimes you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to go to work and you got to start sowing the seed. Because if I want to see that kind of harvest in my life, I must change that kind of seed that I'm sowing right now. Like you want everything that your parents have right now, even though you're 22 years old, but you don't know how they sacrificed. You don't know the seeds that they sowed. You don't know all that they saved. You don't know everything that they did to get to where they are today. And let me just tell you that you can have what they have if you're willing to do what they did. Again, I have to make a decision. What seed do I want to sow into my future so that I can reap a future harvest? The second thing that people do to hinder their harvest is they get discouraged by their conditions and their circumstances and they stop sowing seeds. They get discouraged by their conditions and their circumstances and they stopped sowing seeds. They didn't see the results that they wanted fast enough. It didn't come in as quickly as I thought it would. Well, I went to the gym for 2 weeks and all I was sore. I didn't have six-pack abs. What the world? I don't know what's going on. Like the truth is that you gave up. You stopped sowing the seed, because if you sow the seed for long enough, if you give enough time to the gym, come on, you're going to get fit. But the thing is that you have to realize that every day that I make a decision to show up at the gym, I'm sowing a seed. Every day I'm showing up at church, I'm sowing a seed. Every day I show up at work, I'm sowing a seed. Every time I show up and do what God is calling me to do, what am I doing? I'm sowing a seed. Why? To reap a future harvest. It's not always fun and it's not always convenient, but guess what? If I want to see a harvest in my future, I must sow a seed in my today. Ecclesiastes 11:4, he who watches the wind, waiting for all the conditions to be perfect, will not sow seed. And he who looks at the cloud will not reap a harvest. Can I tell you this, church? God did not call you to be a meteorologist. He called you to be a farmer. He called you to sow, like, well, I don't know. It's not good. I guess the weather's not going to work. This isn't the right season. I'm not sure. This is an election year. I'm not sure what's going to happen. And what we do is we're looking at what's going on in our outside circumstances. And God says, don't look at that. Just sow the seed and trust me that I will bring in a harvest. Stop letting what you see determine what you sow. Sow the seed. If Crystal and I would have made a decision a long time ago, because we got frustrated about the circumstances that is One Church now, then we would have given up a long time ago. I'll just tell you that we had planted a church and we were a year in and God was moving, but we hadn't taken a salary for a year because we couldn't take a salary, and we'd used up all of our savings and all our money was gone. We were down to $500, and laying in bed that night, guess what? I had an opportunity to say, you know what? I'm going to quit. I'm going to give up. I'm just going to go back home and just figure this out again. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to wake up on Sunday morning and I'm going to sow the seed. And I'm going to keep putting seed in the ground. And now then, look at what the Lord has done. Now then, we're looking at expanding a campus. Come on. We're looking at renovating Sulphur Springs. We're doing so much. And is that bragging on me? No, that's bragging on God, because He is faithful if you sow the seed. If you keep sowing the seed, God will bring in the harvest. Stop looking at the clouds and start sowing the seed. Sow the seed. The only hope a farmer has for a future harvest is to get the seed in the ground today. That's the only hope he has. He gets discouraged, but he still sows the seed. He gets tired and weary, but he still sows the seed. There's days that the farmer wakes up and does not want to go to work, but he wakes up and he still sows the seed. Why? Because he knows that if I want to see a future harvest, I must sow the seed today. So a few things.